This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
All right, let's welcome in Richard Davenport to the program this morning on the McLarty Daniel Hotline. RD, I want to start with something we kind of did yesterday. We asked Coach Pittman.
You're not going to start with mustard or ketchup?
Oh, we can start there. All right, so
we're going to do the heavy lifting early, Richard.
Yeah, it's National Chili Dog Day, and somehow that morphed and delved off to mustard or ketchup on a hot dog.
You put mustard or ketchup on your hot dog. It will determine whether we continue this conversation.
Oh, definitely ketchup.
Mustard. You have let me down.
Yes.
No, mustard. I was just kidding.
No.
That was a joke. I knew that would get.
We're out of time. Thanks, RD. Appreciate you jumping on. Well, now
I think
not a ketchup guy.
Woo Pig Steven has just summed it up perfectly for us. RD. Mustard is for the adults. Ketchup is for the kids. I don't think you could sum up your hot dog condiment any clearer than what Steven has just bottom lined this morning.
So is Ty a ketchup guy?
Well,
yes.
What would be your guess?
I'm a kid at heart, Richard. I'll always be a kid at heart. I'll be probably eating and drinking the same teen at 72 than I am at 28 right now. Right now, Richard, on the Morning Rush ketchup mustard tally, ketchup has a dismal 8 points. Mustard has 18.
It's because we have adults listening to the show. Steven's perfect on this.
They basically doubled us plus 2. So this is not a hot start for ketchup. We'll see if this continues on that road at this point. You like chili dogs, don't you, man?
Oh, my God. I think chili dogs, and I answered your question yesterday about biscuits and bagels, but
sir.
The two, talking about comfort food, I think a chili dog and biscuits and gravy are two of my key comfort foods.
No one's ever had bagels and gravy ever.
Yeah, I will be at Hardee's in about 3.5 hours or 4.5. What's the math? Something like that. And I am going to opt for breakfast instead of lunch today because of the biscuits and gravy that you just mentioned. That is something I'm going to eat in just a sec. Well, RD, moving on from food, we can always talk food and we can always talk ball with you. Sam Pittman again on with us yesterday. We talked about his favorite memory. We talked about our favorite memories of his tenure. You obviously have the backstory on the different recruits that have made it to the Hill and have conversations. Do you have a favorite Sam Pittman recruit story you can share with us?
You know, I was thinking about that. I didn't have one that just popped out in my head, but I do remember one recruit. It was when Sam was here the first time. You know, and anybody that knows his wife Jamie, what a sweetheart she is, how she's an asset in the recruiting process. And I just remember a recruit telling me when he was here the first time how he was talking to Sam, and Sam was, hey, here's Jamie. So he gave the phone to Jamie, and Jamie just started talking to him, and he just thought that was so neat that that his wife, he got to know his wife, and he loved Jamie too. So recruits really gravitate, obviously, to Sam, but I'm telling you, Jamie's a great asset too. So that's just something that came to mind last night that made me think that he's obviously he's a great recruiter, but he married a great recruiter too.
That's always important. That partner is probably the most important recruit you'll have in your life. But he talked about toughness yesterday, and Ben Souders, and there's been a lot of conversation out of media days about their summers and how tough they are. And he said something I thought was raised my eyebrows. You can't be afraid to be disliked when you're in his spot and when you're in Ben Souders' spot, and they're asking the kids to do a lot. And it got me to thinking, they're clearly trying to elevate and change the culture to a tougher environment within the four walls of that program, Richard. But we're also in an environment with a transfer portal where you're trying to balance toughness but also fun and keeping players engaged with your program. So, I mean, to me, that seems like a delicate walk you're taking, a balancing act there that, I want to demand a lot, ask a lot, be tough, not be afraid to be disliked, but at the same time, I got to re-recruit my players every day. How do you manage that balance?
I think the main thing is you got to have relationships with them, just just as much as you can. I mean, sometimes you just can't do that during the recruiting process. Some kids will notice that once they get on campus, and then they say the interaction or the relationships kind of go out the window. You can't do that. You got to continue to do that when they're on campus. You got to make sure that they know that you care about them, and those relationships will help you even during the tough times when you're asking them to do things physically and mentally that the average person will never have to do. And I think that's how you kind of you win them over by those relationships and make sure that that those kids know that you care about them, and their families. And I think that they do a pretty good job of that.
Richard Davenport with us here on the McLarty-Daniel Hotline. Richard, when you look at this upcoming season that Arkansas has at home, you got initially the game in Little Rock, and then you've got a couple other SEC games scattered throughout. It's kind of weird that you don't play your first SEC game until Mississippi State at home. How important is it for them to get off to a good start so recruits, when, again, they're deciding whether they're coming to Fayetteville for an official or not, ultimately decide it's going to be best for me to come to the Hill that weekend?
Yeah, that's obviously. I mean, that's the key. Winning attracts so many more opportunities for you in the recruiting process. A lot of times, obviously Arkansas is not known for 10, 12, 13 win seasons or anything like that on a consistent basis. But if you're able to do something like that, and that kind of ups the game for you in recruiting. More kids are attracted to you. You already have all the bells and whistles and all that stuff, but being able to win at a high level, that's obviously key. And 6-6 last year, or 7-6. That's not obviously. That's you go to a bowl game, that's nice and all that, but that's not going to blow anybody away. So you got to be able to have a good season this year to start. Not only get the kids that you're currently recruiting, to come visit, but also guys that maybe you're on the fence and kind of thinking, well, I really like the coaches and stuff like that, but they went 7-6 last year. They really haven't done anything other than the year before. They had a nice season, 9-4, but before that, Arkansas has really been mediocre for so many years, and you got to fight that angle. And convince those kids, hey, we're an up-and-coming program. We're about to turn the corner. And how you do that is show them on the field.
Richard, I remember talking to Landon Jackson about this last week, him trying to recruit Texarkana kids. And a couple weeks ago, I asked you about Tredarian Bell, who did at that point, I don't think, had an Arkansas offer. He's actually visiting this weekend, the young man for the Texarkana area. He's excited to see Coach Jimmy Smith and, I guess, get to Fayetteville. Has there been any update on his status and maybe possibility him deciding on Arkansas?
I haven't talked to him, but obviously with him visiting, that's the first part of the process. And I mean, he's still he's a 26 kid. He's still very young. So right now, coaches are really focused on the 24s and the 25s. And obviously dabbling in the 26s, but that relationship will obviously start to grow, especially this weekend when he visits and possibly gets that offer.
Richard Davenport with us on the McLarty-Daniel Hotline. For those following the Kane Archer sweepstakes, the sophomore to be quarterback at Greenwood High School, it's required a week of antacids. If your stomach feels a little soured after following along on Facebook, he's been to Texas and now to Norman. He's been to the OU program and to Texas. Some of those pictures, I think, for Razorback fans of him and those get-ups, taking those recruiting photos, probably a little hard to stomach this week, RD.
Yeah, I think the hardcore fans, definitely it is. But at the same time, you can't blame a kid going through the process, especially at his age, and you want to experience everything that you can and compare every school and go through the process like anybody else does. But I can understand that, especially with the Texas pitchers. But that's just part of the process, and I respect any kid that does that. I'll be honest with you. I get the fans that get a little upset, but at the same time, the kids have to experience the process and really truly find the right school for them. And I think eventually he'll be a Razorback, and I don't know that for sure, but I think he's always been fond of the Razorbacks. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with comparing schools and going through the process. OU,
Texas, a couple of weeks ago, it was at USC. Been to Arkansas a lot, so him and his brother Cash have made a lot of trips. But I know him and Lincoln Riley have had a long-standing relationship, for several years now. Even though he's just entering his sophomore year, so USC and Lincoln Riley would be someone also I think to keep an eye on his list.
Oh, definitely, especially with what Lincoln's done with quarterbacks. I mean, that's a no-brainer. If you're a quarterback, you got to look at USC. I mean, whether you like Lincoln Riley or not, as a fan, but as a football player, if you're a quarterback, you have to take a serious look at them.
Basketball-wise, I didn't know when the Purdue news came out, with that being a bye weekend, is that an event, Richard, that you can bring football players and basketball players to, or does it have to be an official game for Eric Musselman and Sam Pittman have guys in that weekend?
I would assume you can. I'll be honest with you. That's something that I really haven't thought about, but I can't imagine you not being able to. But at the same time, I don't know that for sure.
I want to ask you about Anor Boateng out of Little Rock. He's a kid that's now top or 5-star young man, top 10 recruit in the class of 2024. He's got offers everywhere, and he's got an official visit coming up this weekend. What can you tell us about one of the more talented basketball players in this next recruiting cycle?
Well, the thing about him, he over the last year or so, he's really improved his three-point shooting. He really focused on that about a year or so ago, and you're starting to see that pay off. That was the difference between him being maybe a 4-star or being able to get up to elevate to a 5-star. His three-point shooting is, I would say above average now, where it was maybe below average a year or so ago. But like I said, he's really worked on that, and he had all the other parts of the game, as far as his ability to drive and go to the basket, mid-range, and stuff like that. But you add that three-point shooting ability to his offensive game, and that just makes him that much more difficult to defend. And so, and then you throw in him as a young man, probably one of the more impressive young men that you'd ever want to talk to. I mean, he's very, very serious about his academics, comes from a great family, very, very impressive when you talk to him, and you just know he's going to be very successful, whenever the basketball starts bouncing.
Richard, we'll leave it there this morning. We appreciate you joining us on the McLarty Daniel Hotline. Hopefully we'll get some more good news next week. Hopefully Anor has a good official visit to Fayetteville this weekend.
All right, buddy. We'll see you guys.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.